What if the glamorous image of Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, hides a reality far stranger, far more complex than the history books tell us? A reality woven from whispers and secrets, hidden in the very fabric of her reign. Tonight, we won't unravel those mysteries, we won't delve into conspiracies or chase shadowy figures. Instead, we will find our peace in the quiet details, the mundane realities of Cleopatra's life. We'll explore the surprisingly ordinary aspects alongside the extraordinary, the everyday routines, the seemingly insignificant facts that, when pieced together, reveal a fascinating portrait of a woman who captivated the world. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to Snooze Stories. Now dim the lights. Let's slip into the hushed corridors of ancient Alexandria and discover the surprising truth behind the myth of Cleopatra. From her surprisingly practical approach to ruling, to the curious details of her daily life and the surprisingly mundane aspects of her beauty regime, we'll uncover a side of this iconic queen you've likely never heard before. Let the whispers of history lull you into a state of calm as we explore the crazy yet strangely comforting facts about Cleopatra Savannah Philippa. Let the whispers of history lull you into a state of calm as we explore the crazy yet strangely comforting facts about Cleopatra Savannah Philopator. Imagine, if you will, the bustling port city of Alexandria, a jewel shimmering on the shores of the Mediterranean. The sun, a molten orb sinking towards the horizon, casts long shadows across the bustling marketplace. The scent of spices and sea salt thick in the air. This is Cleopatra's world, a world far removed from the romanticized images we often conjure. This is Ptolemaic Egypt, a land ruled not by native pharaohs, but by a dynasty of Greek descendants of Ptolemy Soter, a general of Alexander the Great. Imagine the clash of cultures, the blending of languages, Greek, Egyptian, and a myriad of others swirling together in a vibrant, if sometimes chaotic, tapestry. Cleopatra herself, a woman born into this unique confluence of power, was acutely aware of this blend. She was fluent in several languages, a fact that served her well in her political maneuvers, allowing her to navigate the complex web of alliances and rivalries that defined her reign. Think of her voice, a subtle melody weaving through the din of the Alexandrian streets, a voice capable of both commanding armies and soothing anxieties. The palace, a sprawling complex of marble and granite, reflected this cultural fusion. Picture the cool, shadowed chambers adorned with intricate mosaics depicting scenes from both Greek mythology and Egyptian religion. The walls are cool to the touch, the air heavy with the scent of incense and myrrh, the faint echo of water trickling from fountains, a constant background hum. Cleopatra's daily life within these walls, though surrounded by opulence, was likely far less glamorous than history portrays. Consider her mornings, perhaps beginning with the gentle lapping of water against the palace walls. The sunlight filtering through sheer curtains illuminates the dust motes dancing in the air. Imagine her attendants, their movements soft and deliberate, preparing her for the day. The application of kohl, a dark, kohl-rimmed eye, a ritual both practical and symbolic, protecting her eyes from the harsh glare of the sun, enhancing their allure. The preparation wasn't a hurried rush, but a quiet meditation. Her beauty regime, so often lauded, was not merely a matter of vanity. The oils and creams she used, derived from natural ingredients, were part of a daily routine that not only enhanced her appearance, but also nourished her skin and protected it from the sun. Imagine the textures, the smooth, cool consistency of the aloe vera, the rich fragrance of the almond oil, the subtle warmth of the honey masks. These were not merely cosmetics, but a sensual ritual, a quiet moment of self-care amid the tumultuous political landscape of her life. This practical element of her life, the mundane, the everyday, is a key to understanding the woman behind the myth. Her political life was a constant negotiation, a delicate dance between power brokers and ambitious rivals. Think of the weight of her responsibilities, the constant pressure to maintain her power within the unstable world of Ptolemaic Egypt. The sheer amount of paperwork alone, decrees, treaties, letters, reports from governors, a testament to the demanding reality of being a sovereign ruler. Yet, her approach to her responsibilities, often overlooked, was remarkably pragmatic. She was not simply a figurehead. She actively managed her kingdom, making calculated decisions, adapting to shifting alliances, a master of political survival. Her intelligence is not just a whisper in the halls of history, but an echo in the meticulous documentation of her reign. The political maneuvering of her life was not always grand speeches and dramatic pronouncements. It was often about small compromises, carefully worded letters, and strategic alliances. It involved late-night sessions reviewing state documents, the weight of governance etched upon her face. She had to cultivate relationships, manage expectations, and always have a keen eye on the shifting alliances that defined the Hellenistic world. Even her romantic relationships, particularly those with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, were not simply driven by passion, though undoubtedly those elements existed, but also by political strategy. These were power plays, alliances forged to bolster her position and secure the stability of her kingdom. Think of the calculated moves, the shrewd negotiations, the subtle manipulations, all undertaken with a mind as sharp and strategic as any general or statesman. The world Cleopatra inhabited was not just a stage for grand dramas. It was a world of everyday realities. The clatter of chariots in the streets, the cries of vendors in the marketplace, the gentle sway of palm trees in the breeze. Imagine the sounds and smells, the cacophony of the city, the aroma of roasting meats, the murmur of conversations in different tongues. These are the everyday aspects of Cleopatra's life, the often overlooked details that help to humanize her, making her not just a queen but a woman, navigating a life as complex and multifaceted as the city she ruled. So as the sounds of the night begin to fill the air, let the whispers of Alexandria lull you into a deep and restful sleep. Let the image of Cleopatra, not as a mythical queen, but as a woman in her world, guide you into a tranquil slumber, a peaceful embrace. The world of Ptolemaic Egypt, with its intricate tapestry of politics, culture, and daily life, waits quietly for you. Good night. The world of Ptolemaic Egypt, with its intricate tapestry of politics, culture, and daily life, waits quietly for you. Good night. And now, let us delve into the very heart of Cleopatra's existence, the Ptolemaic dynasty itself, a family saga of breathtaking ambition, ruthless power plays, and a legacy etched in both royal blood and incestuous unions. Imagine, if you will, the weight of history pressing down on Cleopatra, not just the weight of her crown, but the weight of generations of ambitious rulers, their triumphs and tragedies woven into the very fabric of her being. The dynasty's origins lie in the conquest of Alexander the Great, his vast empire fragmented after his untimely death. Ptolemy I Soter, one of Alexander's generals, seized control of Egypt, establishing a kingdom that would last for nearly 3 centuries. He was a shrewd administrator, a brilliant military strategist, but also a man who understood the power of cultivating a legacy. He founded Alexandria, a city that would become a beacon of learning and culture, a testament to his ambition and vision. Picture the bustling port, the ships arriving from across the known world, their holds laden with spices, silks, and rare treasures. Hear the cacophony of the marketplace, the cries of vendors hawking their wares, the murmur of conversations in a multitude of tongues, Greek, Egyptian, and many others. This city was a fusion, a cultural melting pot, mirroring the very nature of the Ptolemaic dynasty itself, a blend of Greek and Egyptian traditions, a tapestry woven from disparate threads. The succeeding generations of Ptolemies, however, were not always so adept at maintaining the delicate balance of power. The very system of succession based on familial ties often led to bitter rivalries, assassinations, and civil wars. Brother fought brother, sister against sister for control of the throne. The marriages, often between siblings, were not solely a matter of royal tradition, but a calculated move to consolidate power, keeping the throne within the family. Imagine the palace intrigues, the whispered conspiracies, the shifting alliances, the air thick with tension, every glance, every word potentially concealing a hidden agenda, the weight of expectation, the ever-present threat of betrayal, were ever-present realities within the Ptolemaic court. Consider the role of women within this complex dynastic web. While often portrayed as pawns in a political game, Ptolemaic queens were frequently powerful figures in their own right, wielding considerable influence over court affairs and state policy. They were not mere ornaments, they were active participants in the political machinations of their time. They were shrewd diplomats, cunning strategists, and capable administrators. Some more successful than others. Their lives, though undeniably shaped by the constraints of their era and their royal lineage, were far from passive. Picture the queens, their elegant robes flowing around them as they navigate the treacherous currents of court life. Their words carefully chosen, their actions calculated to maintain their positions and protect their interests. The constant struggle for power within the dynasty led to an atmosphere of instability, a perpetual tension that threatened to tear the kingdom apart. This internal strife, combined with external threats from neighboring kingdoms and ambitious Roman generals, made the rule of the Ptolemies a constant test of their political acumen and resilience. Each new ruler faced the daunting task of navigating a treacherous landscape of political alliances, economic pressures, and social unrest. They had to maintain the loyalty of their armies, manage the complex bureaucracy of their kingdom, and secure the support of powerful factions within their court. Picture the mountains of paperwork, the endless stream of reports, the constant pressure to make decisions that would impact the lives of millions. Cleopatra inherited this complex and volatile legacy, a kingdom grappling with internal divisions and facing the growing power of Rome. The weight of her ancestors' actions, their triumphs and failures, shaped the context of her own reign, influencing her strategies and decisions. The family drama, the centuries of political intrigue and familial strife, created a framework within which she would maneuver, a chessboard she inherited, each piece bearing the weight of a dynasty's legacy. As the darkness of night envelops you and the sounds of the world fade away, let the echoes of this complex history soothe you. Let the image of Cleopatra, standing at the crossroads of her family's legacy, guide you into a peaceful and restful sleep. The weight of a dynasty, the ebb and flow of power, the subtle complexities of family ties, all these dissolve into the gentle rhythm of slumber. The whispers of the past, now calm and tranquil, are the lullaby of your dream. The Cleopatra, 7th Philopator, born into this turbulent world, inherited not only the throne of Egypt, but also the intricate tapestry of her family's history. Imagine her as a child, playing amidst the opulent grandeur of the Alexandria palace, yet always aware of the shadows lurking just beyond the sunlit courtyards. The scent of exotic perfumes, the murmur of servants' voices, the shimmering silks and jewels, all the sensory richness of the Ptolemaic court surrounded her, even as the whispers of political machinations constantly permeated the air. Her early years were shaped by the presence of her father, Ptolemy XII Auletes, a king whose reign was marked by both extravagance and instability. Picture him, a figure of considerable pomp and ceremony, yet beset by internal rebellions and the ever-present threat of Roman interference. His capricious nature, his unpredictable alliances, his fleeting moments of brilliance punctuated by stretches of reckless extravagance, these formed the background to Cleopatra's childhood. She wasn't alone in the face of her father's instability. She had siblings, sisters, and brothers, each with their own claim to the throne, each a potential ally or a dangerous rival. Picture them, these young royals, engaging in the carefully choreographed dances of courtly life, their laughter mingling with the underlying tension of their familial competition. The lessons they received weren't simply in the arts of grace and etiquette, they were in the art of statecraft, in the delicate balance of power, in the subtle maneuvers necessary to navigate the treacherous currents of Ptolemaic politics. They learned to read people, to interpret their words, to understand the unspoken language of courtly intrigue. Their education included the mastery of several languages, Greek and Egyptian most prominently, but also others spoken within the diverse court of Alexandria. Picture Cleopatra, young but already remarkably astute, absorbing knowledge with an eagerness that transcended her royal status. Her teachers were among the most learned in the kingdom, bringing her up to speed on the history of Egypt, the complexities of its administration, and the intricacies of diplomacy. She also learned the strategic arts of war and the necessary skill of managing finances. These were not frivolous pursuits for a young princess. They were essential tools for survival in the ruthless world of Ptolemaic politics. The skills she acquired in her early years laid the foundation for her future rule, equipping her with the acumen necessary to meet the challenges that lay ahead. The death of Ptolemy X in 51 BC, a departure shrouded in some uncertainty, triggered a crisis of succession. Imagine the palace plunged into sudden turmoil. The power vacuum left behind threatened to unravel the delicate fabric of the kingdom. The internal strife that followed was almost inevitable. Cleopatra, still relatively young, found herself thrust into the center of a maelstrom. Her older sister, Cleopatra Tryphena, and her younger brother, Ptolemy III, both had claims to the throne. The ensuing struggle for power involved alliances forged and broken, intrigues whispered in darkened corridors, and open conflicts that threatened to destabilize the kingdom. Picture the palace, normally a place of serene beauty, transformed into a stage for political maneuvering of the highest stakes. Cleopatra, however, proved to be a more astute politician than many anticipated. She navigated the treacherous waters of royal succession with a surprising degree of skill. Her actions were not merely reactive, they were calculated, strategic moves designed to strengthen her position. She initially shared power with her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII, a customary arrangement in Ptolemaic succession. Yet, the arrangement was inherently unstable. The sibling relationship was, as most royal marriages of the time were, more a matter of politics than affection. The siblings were not merely co-rulers. They were rivals vying for absolute power, a fact that was only thinly veiled by their public facade of unity. The images we have of Cleopatra, those surviving artistic representations, the echoes of her legendary beauty, should not obscure the political pragmatism that drove her early reign. She wasn't just a queen, she was a strategist, a diplomat, a shrewd player in the game of power. Her actions reveal a determination to secure her position, not only to rule, but to rule effectively. This was a young woman facing challenges of a magnitude few could comprehend. Yet her responses demonstrate a remarkable resilience, a tenacious grip on power, and a clear vision for her future. The weight of a dynasty, the constant threat of betrayal, the struggle for power amidst a crumbling political landscape, these were all facts of life. And she, the young queen, was determined to endure. The whispers of the court, the hushed tones of conspiratorial meetings, the clash of swords and the rustle of silks in the moonlight, these become the soft sounds of your dreams as you drift off to sleep. The complex tapestry of Cleopatra's early life, the challenges, the decisions, the ambitions, all fade into the quiet stillness of the night. Sleep now, and let the quiet whispers of history lull you into peaceful slumber. But the most significant challenge to Cleopatra's nascent reign wasn't her brother, though Ptolemy XIII certainly presented a formidable obstacle. It was her sister, Arsinoe IV. Imagine two figures exquisitely dressed in silks and jewels, each a vision of Ptolemaic royalty, yet their smiles masking a deep simmering rivalry. Arsinoe, younger than Cleopatra, possessed a fierce ambition that mirrored her sister's own. Their shared lineage, however, did little to soften the edge of their competition for power. Arsinoe, unlike Cleopatra, didn't initially share the throne. This fueled her resentment, a fire stoked by ambitious advisors who saw in her a potential counterweight to Cleopatra's influence. The whispers started subtly, like the rustling of papyrus scrolls in a dimly lit library. Alliances shifted, allegiances were tested, and the air in the palace thickened with a palpable tension. Consider the daily routines, the formal dinners, the elaborate ceremonies, the carefully orchestrated public appearances, each event a delicate dance around the unspoken war brewing between the sisters. Every glance, every word, every gesture held a deeper meaning, a silent negotiation of power. The scent of exotic perfumes, the taste of sweet wines, even the cool touch of marble floors underfoot, all were experienced within this charged atmosphere. Arsinoe, with the support of certain factions within the court, began to actively challenge Cleopatra's authority. Picture the strategic meetings, held in shadowed chambers, illuminated only by flickering candlelight, the low murmur of voices, The careful placement of words, the exchange of coded messages, all the subtle maneuvers of courtly intrigue unfolded around Cleopatra. The weight of the crown, usually a symbol of power and prestige, felt heavy with the added burden of this sisterly conflict. Yet, Cleopatra, as always, appeared composed, her outward demeanor betraying little of the internal struggle. The conflict was not confined to the palace walls. It spilled out into the streets of Alexandria, into the bustling marketplace, into the very fabric of the kingdom. Imagine the city, a vibrant tapestry of cultures and languages, suddenly divided along lines of allegiance. The murmur of discontent grew louder, fueled by rumors and whispered accusations. The once unified populace now fractured, loyalties shifting like sands in the desert wind. The scent of fear mingled with the usual aromas of spices and sea salt. The taste of uncertainty hung heavy in the air. The familiar sounds of Alexandria were now punctuated by the undercurrent of apprehension and the possibility of open conflict. Cleopatra, however, was not one to be intimidated. She responded to Arsinoe's challenge with calculated precision. She skillfully played the game of politics, using her charm and intelligence to garner support from key figures within the court and the army. Picture her, surrounded by her advisors, poring over maps, studying troop deployments, meticulously planning her strategy. The weight of responsibility bore down upon her, the pressure immense. Yet there is a certain quiet strength emanating from her actions, an unflappable resolve. The battle for the throne wasn't fought solely on the political battlefield. It also extended to the realm of propaganda. Imagine the carefully crafted images, the statues, the coins, each bearing a silent message intended to shape public perception. Cleopatra's image was meticulously cultivated, emphasizing her royal lineage, her intelligence, and her connection to the gods. The visual presentation of her power was a conscious strategy, a way of subtly undermining Arsinoe's claims. The climax arrived with a dramatic confrontation. While the exact details remain debated by historians, the essence of the conflict is clear. Arsinoe, with her supporters, made a bold bid for power, a challenge that threatened to plunge the kingdom into chaos. Picture the clash of swords, the screams of the wounded, the desperate struggle for dominance. This is not a violent depiction meant to be jarring, but rather a quiet acknowledgement that violence, though regrettable, was part of the reality of this age. Cleopatra, however, prevailed. Her strategic brilliance, her political acumen, her ability to navigate the treacherous currents of Ptolemaic politics all culminated in her victory. Arsinoe's challenge was quelled, her ambitions crushed. The subsequent fate of Arsinoe is itself a story of intrigue and speculation, a tale whispered in hushed tones through the corridors of history. The imagery of the defeated sister, her power stripped away, adds a touch of somber reflection to this narrative. The sounds of the conflict gradually fade, replaced by the quiet stillness of the night. The weight of the crown, once a burden shared with her sister and brother, now rests solely upon Cleopatra's shoulders. She has survived, she has triumphed. Let the gentle rhythm of your breath guide you into slumber. The echoes of the struggle for power, the whisper of intrigue, the weight of the crown, all fade away as you drift off into a restful sleep. Sleep now. Let the quiet whispers of history lull you into peaceful slumber. The victory, however, brought no immediate respite. The kingdom, though outwardly calm, remained fragile. The whispers of dissent, though muted, still lingered in the shadowed corners of Alexandria. Cleopatra, alone with the weight of her crown, knew that true peace remained elusive. The stability she had achieved was a precarious balance, easily upset by the shifting sands of political alliances. And looming on the horizon, a force far greater than any internal conflict threatened to reshape the very fabric of her world. Rome. Picture the arrival of Julius Caesar's ships on the horizon, their white sails catching the light of the Mediterranean sun. The sight would have been both awe-inspiring and menacing, a stark reminder of Rome's burgeoning power. The sounds of the approaching fleet, the creak of timbers, the shouts of sailors, all would have been amplified by the nervous anticipation within Alexandria's walls. The air, usually carrying the scent of spices and sea salt, was now infused with the metallic tang of approaching conflict. Imagine the hushed discussions within the palace, the strategizing, the weighing of options. Cleopatra, ever the pragmatist, understood the necessity of navigating this new formidable presence. Caesar, a man of immense power and ambition, arrived not as a conqueror, but as a player in the intricate game of Ptolemaic politics. He possessed a keen understanding of the political landscape. His gaze, sharp and calculating, pierced through the facade of courtly etiquette. His presence was undeniable, a silent assertion of dominance. Imagine the feeling of the Roman soldiers marching through the streets of Alexandria. The rhythmic thud of their boots on the stone pavements, the glint of their armor in the sunlight. The very air seemed charged with their power. The aroma of unfamiliar foods and unfamiliar wines would have subtly changed the ambience of Alexandria, merging with the familiar smells and tastes. Their first encounter, a meeting meticulously orchestrated to present an image of regal composure and political acumen, was a masterpiece of subtle diplomacy. Imagine the carefully chosen setting, a chamber adorned with exquisite tapestries, the scent of myrrh and frankincense hanging heavy in the air, the soft murmur of a fountain providing a soothing counterpoint to the charged atmosphere. Cleopatra, radiant in her finery, presented herself as a powerful ruler, not as a supplicant. She spoke with confidence, her voice resonating with authority, her words carefully chosen to appeal to Caesar's ambition and strategic mind. The exchange between them must have been a subtle ballet of power, a dance between two formidable figures. Each word, each gesture, each nuance of expression held a deeper meaning, a silent negotiation of alliances and objectives. Caesar, captivated by her intelligence and her regal bearing, recognized her strength. He saw not just a queen embroiled in a power struggle, but a shrewd and capable leader who could be a valuable ally. Picture the slow, measured movements of Caesar, his steady gaze never leaving Cleopatra's face, as he listened intently, evaluating, assessing. The sound of his voice, deep and resonant, would have filled the chamber, yet it held a certain controlled quietude, a sign of his masterful command. Cleopatra, in turn, assessed Caesar. She saw not just a ruthless general, but a man capable of decisive action, someone who could provide the military backing she needed to solidify her rule. Their connection, though born from political expediency, transcended the purely transactional. It was a meeting of minds, a recognition of shared ambition and strategic prowess. The air between them hummed with unspoken possibilities. The taste of the wine they shared, perhaps a sweet Egyptian vintage, would have been a fleeting sensory memory between the two powerful figures, as they established a bond that would shift the balance of power not only in Egypt, but across the Mediterranean. Their relationship, born from the ashes of internal conflict and cemented by shared political goals, marked a pivotal moment in Cleopatra's reign. The alliance with Caesar brought not only military support, but also legitimized her claim to the throne in the eyes of Rome. This was a crucial step, effectively shifting the power dynamics within Ptolemaic Egypt. Imagine the quiet confidence that grew within Cleopatra as she secured Rome's backing. The subtle change in her demeanor, a new assurance that settled over her like a quiet warmth. The sounds of Alexandria shifted again, now punctuated by the confident footfalls of Roman soldiers, a tangible sign of her newfound power. The alliance, however, was far from a simple pact. It was a complex interplay of political maneuvering, personal ambition, and mutual advantage. The following years would witness a delicate dance of power, a continuous negotiation between Cleopatra and Caesar, a subtle game played amidst the grandeur of the Roman Empire and the exotic beauty of Alexandria. The aroma of power, a heady mix of ambition and intrigue, hung heavy in the air. The taste of victory, however sweet, was tempered by the constant awareness of shifting allegiances and the ever-present threat of further conflict. The city of Alexandria, once fractured by internal strife, now faced a new challenge: the formidable presence of Rome and the intricate dance of power between its ruler and its newfound ally. Allow the image of Cleopatra, standing tall and resolute, bathed in the warm glow of the alliance, to soothe your mind. Breathe deeply and allow the gentle rhythm of your breathing to guide you into a peaceful, restful slumber. The alliance, solidified, blossomed into something more profound than a mere political pact. The shared evenings, spent amidst the flickering candlelight of Cleopatra's palace, were filled with whispered conversations, the clinking of goblets, and the soft murmur of the Nile flowing gently in the distance. Imagine the scent of exotic perfumes mingling with the aroma of roasted meats and spiced wines, the subtle textures of silks and velvets against their skin, the warmth of the Egyptian sun filtering through the sheer curtains, cast long shadows across the room, creating an atmosphere of intimacy and shared secrets. Caesar, accustomed to the stark realities of Roman power, found himself captivated by the vibrant culture and sensual pleasures of Alexandria. He would have savored the rich flavors of Egyptian cuisine, the sweetness of dates, the tang of figs, the subtle spice of the local wines. The sounds of the city, a constant hum of activity, would have faded into the background, replaced by the intimate whispers and shared laughter of their private moments. Cleopatra, too, found herself drawn to Caesar's strength and intelligence. She saw in him not just a powerful ally, but a man of complex depths, capable of both great cruelty and unexpected tenderness. The delicate balance of power, carefully maintained between them, was punctuated by moments of genuine affection. Imagine the gentle touch of their hands as they spoke, the subtle shift in their postures as they listened, the shared smiles that betrayed the depth of their connection. The birth of Caesarion, their son, cemented their bond even further. The anticipation, the joy, the shared responsibility, these were potent forces that transcended the political maneuvering and strategic alliances that initially brought them together. Imagine the hushed whispers in the palace, the careful preparation, the excitement that filled the air as Cleopatra prepared for childbirth. The soft cries of the newborn, a symbol of their shared legacy, would have resonated through the palace, a quiet counterpoint to the bustling activity of Alexandria. The sight of the infant, a tiny bundle of life, cradled in Cleopatra's arms, must have been a deeply moving moment, a tangible representation of their unlikely union. Caesar, witnessing this tender moment, may have felt a surge of paternal pride, a fleeting glimpse of domesticity amidst the chaos of his life as a Roman general. The gentle rocking motion, the soft lullabies sung in Cleopatra's melodious voice, would have created a sanctuary of peace and love, a haven from the political intrigues and military campaigns that dominated their world. The weight of their shared responsibilities, the burden of their leadership, would have been momentarily forgotten as they focused on the fragile life in Cleopatra's arms. The scent of baby powder and fresh linen would have lingered in the air, a subtle yet persistent reminder of this precious moment. The soft texture of the infant's skin against Cleopatra's, the warmth of the child's body, these sensory details would have been etched into their memories, shaping the narrative of their unlikely partnership. The years that followed were a complex dance of power, a delicate balance between personal affection and political expediency. Caesar, though deeply involved in the affairs of Rome, remained profoundly connected to Cleopatra and their son. Imagine the letters exchanged between them, the carefully worded messages, conveying not only political news, but also expressions of affection and longing. The sounds of the messenger's footsteps, the hushed delivery of the letters, the anticipation of each message, these were constant reminders of the intricate bond that held them together. Caesar's visits to Alexandria became less frequent as his Roman duties demanded more of his attention, yet each visit brought a renewed sense of intimacy, a shared reaffirmation of their connection. The familiar aromas of the palace, the taste of Egyptian wines, the sights and sounds of Alexandria, these sensory experiences would have served as anchors, linking him back to this unexpected haven of personal connection. The political implications of their union, however, were profound. Caesarion's birth presented a challenge to the established Roman order, introducing the possibility of a future where Cleopatra's dynasty and Roman power were inextricably intertwined. The taste of power, ever present in Cleopatra's life, was now subtly infused with the sweetness of motherhood. Her role expanded from powerful queen to devoted mother, adding yet another layer of complexity to her multifaceted personality. The sounds of Caesarion's laughter, his playful babble, would have filled the palace, creating a counterpoint to the serious discussions of politics and war. The soft touch of her son's hand against hers, the warmth of his presence, these were gentle reminders of a love that was both deeply personal and profoundly political. The image of Cleopatra, a powerful queen, a devoted mother, a shrewd political strategist, cradling her child, should serve as a calming reminder as you drift into sleep. Let the rhythm of your breathing guide you, allowing the gentle cadence to ease your mind. Breathe deeply, and let the peaceful image of mother and child lull you into a restful slumber. The assassination of Julius Caesar, a seismic event that reverberated across the Roman world, cast a long shadow over Alexandria. The news arrived like a chilling wind, silencing the laughter and whispers that had once filled the palace. The scent of jasmine and rose, usually so vibrant, seemed to fade, replaced by a subtle undercurrent of fear and uncertainty. Cleopatra, accustomed to navigating treacherous political waters, found herself facing an unprecedented storm. The familiar sounds of the city, the rhythmic pulse of life, now carried an undertone of unrest, a low hum of anxiety that vibrated through the very stones of Alexandria. The power vacuum left by Caesar's death triggered a maelstrom of ambition and violence. The Roman Republic, already fractured, splintered further into warring factions. Imagine the frantic messengers arriving in Alexandria, their faces etched with worry, their words breathless and urgent. The weight of their reports, the sheer volume of conflicting information, must have been overwhelming. The clash of steel, the cries of the dying, the thunder of marching legions, all these sounds, though distant, reached Cleopatra in the form of dispatches and desperate pleas for aid. Cleopatra, ever the pragmatist, responded with characteristic resilience and cunning. She understood that survival depended on navigating this treacherous landscape, on carefully choosing her alliances. The familiar weight of her jeweled necklaces, the cool smoothness of the jade against her skin, would have offered a grounding presence amidst the turmoil. The rhythmic sway of her silk robes as she paced her chambers, the muted rustle of fabric, a constant companion, would have anchored her to the present. The political landscape was a shifting kaleidoscope of alliances and betrayals. Mark Antony, one of Caesar's lieutenants, emerged as a powerful figure, his ambition as vast as the Roman Empire itself. Cleopatra, recognizing Antony's potential, turned her gaze towards him, employing the same strategic brilliance that had once captivated Caesar. Picture the careful crafting of letters, the delicate balance of power and persuasion woven into each carefully chosen word. The scent of papyrus and ink, the scratch of quill against parchment, would have been a constant reminder of the delicate diplomacy she employed. The subtle shift in her demeanor, from the playful charm she had used with Caesar to a more calculating, strategic approach with Antony, must have been fascinating to observe. Her meetings with Antony must have been a study in contrasts. The starkness of the Roman legions, their disciplined ranks a jarring contrast to the opulent beauty of the Alexandrian palace. The clash of cultures, the tension between Roman pragmatism and Egyptian mystique would have created an atmosphere thick with anticipation. The taste of wine, shared between them, a symbol of an alliance forged in the crucible of war, yet tinged with the ever-present danger of betrayal. The alliance with Antony, however, was not merely a political maneuver. It also involved a deepening personal connection. Antony, drawn to Cleopatra's intelligence and charm, fell deeply under her spell. Imagine the long evenings spent in the cool of the palace gardens, the soft murmur of their voices blending with the gentle sounds of the Nile, the fragrant blossoms, the night air filled with the scent of exotic spices, would have created a backdrop of sensual intimacy. The weight of their shared anxieties, the burden of their responsibilities, momentarily eased by the quiet moments shared between them, the shared laughter, the intimate glances, the slow, deliberate gestures. These moments of connection provided respite from the relentless pressures of the Roman civil wars. The birth of their twins, Alexander Helios and Cleopatra Selene, further solidified their alliance, binding them together not only through political ambition, but also through the profound bond of parenthood. The sounds of the children's laughter, their innocent babble, filling the palace, must have provided a gentle counterpoint to the anxieties of war and political intrigue. The feel of the soft skin of her babies, the scent of their milky breath, these gentle moments offered precious solace amidst the storms of war. Cleopatra's strategic brilliance, her unwavering determination, allowed her to survive and even thrive amidst the chaos. The weight of responsibility, the burden of leadership never diminished her resolve. Her ability to balance personal relationships with political maneuvering remains a testament to her remarkable skill and resilience. The rhythmic pulse of the Nile, the ever-present whisper of the wind, the cool smoothness of the night air against her skin, these elements would have served as constant reminders of the enduring strength and beauty of Egypt, even amidst the devastation of war. As the sounds of the Nile gently lull you, let the image of Cleopatra, queen and mother, navigating the turbulent waters of the Roman civil wars, guide you towards peaceful slumber. Let the gentle cadence of your breathing calm your mind and soothe your spirit. Breathe deeply and allow sleep to embrace you. The arrival of Mark Antony in Alexandria was not a thunderous explosion, but a slow, deliberate unfolding, much like the unfurling of a papyrus scroll. Imagine the Roman ships, their sails billowing gently in the warm Egyptian breeze, appearing on the horizon, not as invaders, but as figures slowly materializing from the shimmering heat haze. The scent of salt and sea air, mingled with the familiar fragrance of the Nile, would have hung in the air, a subtle perfume of impending change. Antony, a man of considerable stature and presence, would have disembarked with a quiet dignity, his movements measured and controlled in stark contrast to the often chaotic energy of his legions. The clash of cultures was immediate yet strangely harmonious. The disciplined Roman soldiers, their armor gleaming under the sun, stood in silent contrast to the vibrant colors and intricate designs of the Alexandrian welcome party. The sound of their boots on the stone paving, a low, rhythmic beat, would have been almost meditative, a counterpoint to the lively chatter of the Egyptian crowds. Cleopatra, observing from a discreet vantage point within the palace, would have meticulously assessed Antony. His reputation, a mixture of military prowess and reckless abandon, was well known. She would have noted the set of his jaw, the intensity in his gaze, the subtle tremors in his hands that betrayed the underlying tension beneath his controlled exterior. He was a man of power, but his power was raw, untamed, a contrast to her own carefully cultivated authority. The initial meetings were a careful dance, a delicate exchange of words and gestures, each carefully chosen to test the other's strength and vulnerabilities. Think of the subtle shift in Cleopatra's demeanor. The playful charm that had captivated Caesar was replaced with a more strategic, measured approach. Her words, elegant and precise, were imbued with the weight of centuries of Egyptian diplomacy. The exchanges between them, conducted in a mixture of Greek and Latin, would have been both intellectual and sensual. Picture the opulent setting of the Alexandrian palace, the cool, polished surfaces reflecting the candlelight, the soft murmur of their voices, punctuated by the clinking of wine goblets, would have created an atmosphere of charged intimacy. The taste of Alexandrian wine, rich and full-bodied, would have been a shared experience, a subtle bond forging between them, as potent as any political alliance. The scent of exotic perfumes, the lingering aroma of myrrh and frankincense would have hung heavy in the air, adding another layer to their conversations. The weight of the Roman legions always present was felt even within the palace walls. The muted sounds of their drills and preparations, the rhythmic clang of their weapons, would have been a constant reminder of the precariousness of their alliance. Yet, amidst the political maneuvering, a personal connection began to bloom. Antony, initially drawn to Cleopatra's political power and strategic brilliance, found himself captivated by her charm, her intelligence, and her undeniable beauty. Imagine the long evenings spent in the cool of the palace gardens, the gentle lapping of the Nile against the stone embankments, a soothing backdrop to their conversations. The murmur of their voices, barely audible, blending with the night sounds of the city, would have been a testament to the growing intimacy between them. The fragrant blossoms of the lotus and papyrus flowers, their delicate perfume carried on the warm night air, would have created a sensual atmosphere, fostering a connection that extended beyond mere political expediency. The shared silences between them were as significant as their words. The feeling of Antony's hand resting lightly on Cleopatra's arm, the brief brush of their fingers, would have communicated more than any declaration of affection. The quiet observation of the night sky, studded with 1,000 glittering stars, would have served as a shared contemplation, a moment of peace amidst the political turmoil that swirled around them. The birth of their twins, Alexander Helios and Cleopatra Selene, was a pivotal moment, solidifying their connection in a way that no political treaty ever could. Imagine the soft skin of the newborns, their milky scent filling the palace chambers, the gentle sounds of their cries, quickly hushed by Cleopatra's soothing touch, the feeling of the baby's weight in her arms, the warmth of their bodies against her skin, would have provided a profound sense of comfort and grounding amidst the chaos of war and political intrigue. The playful sounds of their coos and gurgles, echoing through the palace, must have filled the air with a sense of tender tranquility. Antony's pride in his children, evident in the softness of his gaze as he watched Cleopatra cradle them, would have created a scene of quiet domesticity, an island of peace in a tumultuous sea. The Nile, ever present, served as a constant reminder of the enduring power of Egypt. Its rhythmic pulse, the whispering wind carrying its scent, and the cool smoothness of its waters against the palace walls would have been a grounding force, offering solace to Cleopatra amidst the pressures of her rule and her relationship with Antony. The weight of her responsibilities, the burden of leadership, never dimmed the light in her eyes. Her ability to manage the complexities of her political alliances while maintaining her personal relationships reflects a depth of resilience and extraordinary strength of character. A story whispered on the gentle breeze, carried by the flow of the Nile, and meant to guide you to peaceful slumber. Breathe deeply and allow the tranquil sounds of the Nile to carry you away into the serenity of sleep. The lavish life they shared in Alexandria was a testament to their power, a dazzling spectacle of opulence and excess. Imagine the vastness of the palace, a sprawling complex of courtyards, gardens, and chambers, each more opulent than the last. The walls, adorned with intricate mosaics and frescoes depicting scenes from Egyptian mythology, whispered tales of ancient kings and queens. The floors, polished to a mirror sheen, reflected the flickering candlelight, creating an ethereal glow that danced across the richly decorated surfaces. The air, thick with the scent of exotic perfumes and spices, hinted at the luxurious lifestyle they cultivated. Think of the feasts, extravagant affairs that lasted for hours, laden with delicacies from across the known world. The clinking of goblets, the murmur of conversation, and the soft music provided a soothing backdrop to the endless flow of food and wine. The taste of figs, plump and sweet, would have been a familiar pleasure, a reminder of the bounty of the Egyptian land. The richness of the roasted meats, seasoned with aromatic herbs and spices, would have tantalized the palate. The smooth texture of the finest wines, aged to perfection, would have complemented the flavors of the meal. The sheer abundance of food, a testament to their power and influence, served as a constant reminder of their privileged position. Their days were filled with a blend of political maneuvering and leisurely pursuits. Antony, accustomed to the rough-and-tumble world of Roman politics, found a strange solace in the refined atmosphere of Alexandria. He participated in the courtly rituals, the elaborate ceremonies, and the intellectual debates that were so integral to Cleopatra's reign. Imagine the quiet moments spent together, poring over maps, discussing strategies, and planning for the future. The weight of their responsibilities, the burden of leadership, hung heavy in the air, but they found moments of respite in each other's company. The sight of Antony, his Roman stoicism momentarily softened by Cleopatra's charm, would have been a testament to the unique bond they shared. The Nile, a constant presence in their lives, provided a backdrop to their shared experiences. Imagine the leisurely boat trips gliding along the calm waters, the gentle lapping of the water against the hull, a soothing rhythm. The scent of the river, earthy and fresh, would have mingled with the exotic perfumes worn by Cleopatra and the more austere scents favored by Antony, creating a unique olfactory experience. The papyrus reeds, swaying gently in the breeze, would have whispered secrets of the past. The sight of the birds soaring above, their effortless movements a reflection of the freedom they both craved, would have been a shared moment of contemplation. The political landscape, however, was far from tranquil. The whispers of intrigue and treachery were ever present, a constant reminder of the precarious nature of their alliance. The Roman Senate, suspicious of Antony's growing attachment to Cleopatra and his reliance on Egyptian resources, continually threatened their power. The distant rumble of Roman legions, poised for action, served as a constant reminder of the fragile peace. The weight of these concerns, the constant threat of war, never fully disappeared, but their love, however tempestuous, managed to flourish amidst the turmoil. The birth of their twins, Alexander Helios and Cleopatra Selene, was a moment of profound joy, a testament to the strength of their connection. The image of Cleopatra, radiant with motherhood, cradling her newborns, would have been a sight to behold. Antony's pride in his children, evident in his every gesture, spoke volumes about the depth of his affection for Cleopatra. The children's innocent laughter, their tiny hands grasping at their parents' fingers, would have filled the palace with a sense of warmth and tenderness. Their presence offered a much-needed sense of stability and normalcy amidst the chaos of their political lives. Their laughter, a sweet counterpoint to the weighty concerns of state, would have been a constant reminder of the simple joys of life. The sounds of the Nile, the gentle lapping of its waters, and the rustling of the papyrus reeds would have been a calming presence in the vastness of the palace. The soft breeze carrying the scents of lotus and papyrus flowers, the cool smoothness of the marble floors beneath their feet, and the subtle shimmer of candlelight on polished surfaces all contributed to an atmosphere of luxurious tranquility, carefully constructed to create a refuge from the ever-present political realities. The carefully curated quietude, punctuated by the soft murmur of conversation, the gentle clinking of glasses, and the distant, barely perceptible sounds of the city, would have created an atmosphere perfectly balanced between intimacy and opulence. The shared silences, as meaningful as their words, would have been a testament to their deep understanding. The story of Cleopatra and Antony, a tale of love and politics intertwined, unfolds slowly, gradually revealing the intricate tapestry of their lives. It's a story whispered on the gentle breeze, carried by the flow of the Nile, intended to lull you into a state of profound relaxation. Breathe deeply, feel the weight of your body sink into the mattress, and allow the peaceful rhythm of the Nile to carry you away into the serene embrace of sleep. The whispers of ambition, however, were louder than the lullabies of their children. Antony, fueled by Cleopatra's unwavering confidence and bolstered by the resources of Egypt, dreamt of a vast empire, an empire stretching far beyond the familiar shores of the Mediterranean. This was not mere conquest for its own sake, but a carefully orchestrated plan to reshape the political landscape of the known world. To solidify their power and legacy, the map, spread upon a table, inlaid with mother-of-pearl, became the canvas for their shared ambitions. Each meticulously drawn coastline, each carefully placed city, represented not just geography but the intricate tapestry of alliances, rivalries, and power plays that defined their world. The decision to embark on the Eastern expedition was a bold one, a gamble fraught with risk. The Roman Senate, already wary of Antony's alliance with Cleopatra, viewed this venture with suspicion and outright hostility. To them, it was an act of defiance, a blatant disregard for the authority of Rome. Yet Cleopatra, with her sharp intellect and innate understanding of political maneuvering, saw an opportunity to secure their position, to cement their power beyond the volatile politics of Rome. The preparation for the expedition was a spectacle of regal planning. Imagine the bustling activity within the palace, the hushed conversations between strategists, the careful selection of troops, the meticulous packing of supplies, the scent of spices, the gleam of polished armor, and the murmur of countless voices created a vibrant tapestry of anticipation. The fleet, a magnificent sight to behold, sailed from the port of Alexandria, a testament to Egypt's wealth and power. Each ship, a floating palace in its own right, carried not just soldiers but also the trappings of royalty: fine silks, precious metals, and enough provisions to sustain a sizable army for months. The sun glinted off the oars, the rhythmic splash of water against the hulls, a comforting soundtrack to the journey. The open sea, a vast expanse of shimmering blue, stretched before them, a journey into the unknown, a path fraught with both peril and possibility. The vastness of the ocean, the constant movement of the waves, and the rhythmic creaks and groans of the vessels would have been a constant, somewhat calming presence, a constant reminder of the immensity of their undertaking. The salty tang of the sea air filled their lungs, mingling with the exotic perfumes Cleopatra favored, creating a unique maritime fragrance. They sailed east, following the ancient trade routes, charting a course through treacherous waters and unfamiliar territories. Imagine the thrill of discovery, the excitement of encountering new lands and cultures, the challenge of navigating unfamiliar waters. Each sunrise, a promise of new horizons, a testament to the vastness of their ambition. The nights were filled with the vastness of the star-studded sky, a canopy of celestial wonders that provided both comfort and a sense of insignificance. The ship's gentle rocking motion, the rhythm of the waves, the constant sound of the wind in the sails. These provided a soothing, hypnotic soundtrack to their voyages, a lullaby against the vastness of the night sea. As they landed on foreign shores, they were met with a mixture of awe, fear, and suspicion. The exotic sights and sounds of these new lands, the diverse cultures and customs, would have been a revelation, a constant reminder of the world's boundless diversity. Imagine the bustling marketplaces, filled with the vibrant colors of exotic textiles and the fragrant aromas of unfamiliar spices. The sounds of foreign tongues, the vibrant displays of unfamiliar goods, would have created a sensory experience unlike any they had encountered before. The varied textures of the local fabrics, the strange tastes of new foods, and the unusual sounds of exotic instruments, all would have been captivating and surprising. Their progress was not without challenges. The political landscape of the East was a complex and volatile one, filled with rivalries and intrigues. The resistance they faced, however, only strengthened their resolve. Cleopatra's diplomatic skills, honed over years of political maneuvering, proved invaluable in navigating these treacherous waters. Her charm and intelligence, coupled with Antony's military prowess, allowed them to forge alliances and secure their position. Their success lay not only in military might, but also in their ability to understand and adapt to the local customs and traditions. The victories they achieved were not just military triumphs, but also testaments to their combined intellect and diplomatic skill. The Eastern expedition, a testament to their ambitions, was a remarkable display of power and ingenuity. It was a journey into the unknown, a gamble that could have easily ended in disaster. Yet their love, intertwined with their shared ambition, enabled them to face and overcome any obstacles. Even in the midst of the grandeur, the constant rhythmic swaying of the ships, the constant murmur of the crew, the gentle lapping of the waters, the wind whispering through the sails, would have provided a calming backdrop, a continuous soothing undercurrent to their grand ambitions. The expedition's success, a testament to their combined talents and unwavering determination, was a moment of triumph that would be etched into history. As their journey drew to a close and the shores of Alexandria appeared on the horizon, the memory of the expansive journey, the vast ocean, and faraway lands might serve as a final image to ease you toward a peaceful sleep. Feel the gentle rhythm of the waves and the soothing caress of the sea breeze. Breathe deeply and let the calming sounds of the ocean guide you towards a tranquil and restful slumber. The triumphant return to Alexandria, however, was but a fleeting moment of respite. The echoes of their eastern victories were barely silenced before the whispers of a growing conflict began to ripple through the city, a tremor felt even amidst the celebrations. The scent of victory, still lingering in the air, a heady mix of exotic perfumes, sweat, and the metallic tang of blood, was slowly being replaced by a colder, more ominous aroma, the scent of impending war. This was the air Octavian breathed, the young heir to Caesar's legacy, a man whose ambition burned as brightly as the midday sun. Octavian, still consolidating his power in Rome, watched Cleopatra and Antony's growing influence with a steadily hardening gaze. The Eastern spoils, the wealth and power they had amassed, felt like a direct challenge to his authority. Imagine the weight of expectation upon his young shoulders. The constant pressure to prove himself worthy of his adopted father's mantle. Picture the hushed conversations in the Roman Senate, the subtle shifts in alliances, the careful maneuvering of political pawns, the tapestries depicting glorious Roman victories, once a source of pride, now served as a reminder of the growing threat from the East. The subtle clinking of coins in the treasury, a constant reminder of the empire's immense wealth, now seemed threatened by the vast riches that Antony and Cleopatra controlled. The reports arriving in Rome painted a vivid, if slightly exaggerated, picture of Cleopatra's court, a scene of opulent excess, a sensory overload of silks, perfumes, and unimaginable luxury. The Roman senators, accustomed to their own brand of grandeur, viewed this extravagance with a mixture of envy and disdain. Each detail, meticulously recorded in official dispatches, fueled their apprehension. The shimmering jewels adorning Cleopatra, the extravagant feasts she hosted, the seemingly endless supply of exotic goods from across the empire, the weight of each jeweled crown, the texture of each luxurious fabric, the taste of each exotic food, were all magnified in their descriptions, feeding the growing unease amongst the powerful men of Rome. The whispers grew louder. Accusations of treason, of betrayal, of undermining Roman authority all found fertile ground within the walls of the Senate. Antony, once hailed as a hero, was now painted as a pawn in Cleopatra's game, a man seduced by her beauty and led astray by her ambition. The once celebrated victories in the East were now recast as a personal enrichment scheme, a blatant grab for power at the expense of Rome itself. Imagine the dramatic speeches, the passionate debates, the clash of wills within the Roman Senate, where every word carried the weight of an empire. The weight of responsibility, the gravity of each decision, must have been almost physically felt in the heart of the Roman Empire. The steady rhythm of Roman life, the measured beat of the legion's march, the predictable cycle of the seasons, the unwavering authority of the Senate was disrupted by the seemingly chaotic energy emanating from Alexandria. The disciplined order of Roman society, a reassuring constant in the everyday life of ordinary Romans, felt threatened by the unpredictable power and influence of the Egyptian queen. The familiar, earthy smell of the Roman soil and the consistent gray of the Roman sky contrasted harshly with the imagined exotic aromas and vibrant colors reported from the East, fueling a cultural tension that ran deep. The contrast between the austere grandeur of Rome and the opulent lavishness of Alexandria became a potent symbol of the conflict. One was a structured, disciplined society, the other a flamboyant display of power and sensual indulgence. The simple, sturdy Roman architecture, built to last for centuries, contrasted with the imagined, ephemeral beauty and opulence of Cleopatra's palace in Alexandria. This aesthetic clash mirrored the deeper political divide. Octavian, shrewd and ambitious, seized upon this growing discontent. He skillfully played on the Roman sense of superiority, stoking the flames of resentment against the perceived decadence of the East. The steady drumming of Roman war machines, the grinding of gears, the echoing shouts of marching men, all reinforced the impending threat. The very fabric of Roman society, its identity and its pride, seemed to be at stake. Every image, every rumor, every whispered word was carefully manipulated, painting Antony and Cleopatra as a threat to Rome's very existence, a destabilizing force that needed to be dealt with decisively. The murmurs turned into shouts, and the shouts into demands for war. The scent of anticipation, once filled with the promise of exotic adventure, was now heavy with the metallic tang of bloodshed. The sea, once a path to glory and wealth, now seemed a dividing line between two worlds on a collision course. The gentle rocking of the ships, once a lullaby, was replaced by the thunder of approaching legions. The vastness of the ocean, once a source of comfort, now seemed a vast and unforgiving battleground. The stars, once a celestial canvas, now seemed to reflect the grim determination in the eyes of those preparing for war. And so the seeds of conflict, sown in the fertile ground of ambition and resentment, were ready to bloom into a bloody harvest. Let the rhythmic sound of the approaching Roman legions, the steady beat of their marching feet, lull you toward a peaceful sleep. The steady drumming of Roman war machines, a relentless rhythm against the backdrop of the restless sea, marked the prelude to the Battle of Actium. Imagine the scene. The sun, a molten orb sinking towards the horizon, casting long shadows across the decks of the assembled fleets. The air, thick with the scent of salt spray and anticipation, carried the faint, acrid tang of burnt wood and tar, a premonition of the destruction to come. The vast expanse of the Ionian Sea, usually a tranquil canvas reflecting the sky, now churned with the movement of countless ships, their oars slicing through the water with a rhythmic, hypnotic beat, each stroke a tiny contribution to the immense, unstoppable power of these assembled armadas. Cleopatra's fleet, a dazzling spectacle of gilded prows and brightly colored sails, presented a stark contrast to the disciplined formations of Octavian's forces. The polished surfaces of their ships reflected the dying light, transforming them into shimmering, almost ethereal vessels. The intricate carvings on their hulls, depictions of mythical creatures and pharaohs, seemed to writhe in the restless waves. The rhythmic creak of the masts, the gentle slapping of waves against the hulls, the hushed whispers of sailors preparing for battle, all blended into a strangely peaceful soundscape that belied the impending violence. The air thrummed with a palpable tension, a silent conversation between two opposing forces, poised on the brink of conflict. The Roman legions, massed on the shore, a sea of bronze armor and unwavering resolve, offered a stark counterpoint to the colorful chaos of the Egyptian fleet. Their disciplined ranks, a testament to centuries of military tradition, stood ready. The glint of their spears and swords in the fading light was a chilling reflection of the bloodshed to come. The measured tread of their feet, the weight of their equipment, the low murmurs of their anticipation, all blended to create a sonorous undercurrent to the sea's rhythmic pulse. Feel the weight of their shields, the cool, smooth surface of the bronze against your skin. Antony, at the helm of his flagship, a vessel of immense size and grandeur, surveyed the scene. He could have sensed the palpable weight of expectation, the hopes of an empire resting upon his shoulders, the fate of his beloved Cleopatra intertwined with his own. The ornate carvings on the ship's prow, symbols of his past glories, must have seemed ironic, a poignant reminder of the fleeting nature of power. The salty wind whipped his cloak around him, the relentless waves a physical embodiment of the turmoil within. He likely felt the deep tremor of anxiety that would run through a man who carries the destiny of a nation. Cleopatra, too, must have felt the weight of history pressing down upon her. From her own ship, a magnificent vessel adorned with ivory and gold, she commanded her forces. She who had charmed Julius Caesar and captivated Antony now faced her most formidable adversary, not on the battlefield, but in the heart of Roman politics. The vibrant colors of her sails must have been a defiant cry against the looming darkness of defeat. The intricate jewels she wore, symbols of her regal status, were perhaps a shield against the growing fear. The battle itself was a brutal dance of destruction. The clash of bronze against bronze, the splintering of wood, the screams of dying men, all punctuated the relentless rhythm of the waves. Imagine the sight: ships colliding, grappling, sinking, men fighting hand to hand in the tumultuous waters, the air filled with the acrid stench of blood and burning wood. The cries of dying men, the desperate shouts of waves, creates a somber symphony of war. The cries of the wounded, the clash of steel, these sounds must have resonated in the ears of every soldier on the battlefield, creating a cacophony that echoed across the waters. The Roman legions, with their superior discipline and tactical prowess, gradually gained the upper hand. The elegant Egyptian ships, though beautiful, were no match for the relentless efficiency of the Roman war machines. The sun finally dipped below the horizon, leaving a sky ablaze with the colors of both sunset and destruction, a dramatic backdrop to the conflict below. Each fading ray of sunlight cast long, dramatic shadows across the blood-stained decks, marking the slow, inevitable descent into darkness. The night brought with it not the silence of peace, but the sounds of conflict and chaos, continuing a brutal struggle on the dark waters. The decisive moment arrived, and with it a gradual settling of the tumult. The rhythmic crash of waves against the ships, now far fewer, once a symphony of war, now seems a mournful dirge. The scene, lit by the rising moon and the flickering flames of burning ships, was transformed into a haunting tableau of defeat. The rhythmic lapping of the waves against the sides of the few remaining ships now acts as a lullaby, carrying you to a peaceful sleep. The remnants of the battle become a silent backdrop for your peaceful dreams. The weight of the conflict, the exhaustion, and the inevitable defeat of Cleopatra and Antony, let all of it drift away on the soft currents of the Aegean Sea as you prepare to rest. Drift now to sleep. The waves will carry you. The defeat was complete. The once vibrant Egyptian fleet, a testament to Cleopatra's power and ambition, was reduced to scattered wreckage, consumed by the dark waters of the Aegean. The rhythmic crash of waves against the remaining hulls, a mournful dirge replacing the symphony of war, lulled the survivors into a state of weary acceptance. The moon, a silent witness to the carnage, cast long, ethereal shadows across the blood-stained deck. Imagine the scene. The chilling silence, punctuated only by the lapping of waves, the occasional groan of a wounded man, the distant cries of gulls circling above the floating debris. The air, thick with the stench of salt, blood, and burning wood, hung heavy and still. Cleopatra, her regal bearing somehow undiminished despite the crushing defeat, retreated to her palace in Alexandria. The grandeur of the palace, a stark contrast to the brutal reality of her defeat, must have offered little solace. The intricate mosaics on the floors, the smooth, cool marble of the columns, the subtle scent of exotic perfumes, these opulent details were but a fragile barrier against the weight of her despair. Picture the heavy silk drapes, their rich textures a tactile reminder of a life now irrevocably altered. Feel the coolness of the alabaster against your skin as you imagine Cleopatra resting, her body heavy with exhaustion, her mind grappling with the implications of her loss. The Roman victors, their triumph tempered by the harsh realities of war, moved into Alexandria. Their presence, a constant reminder of their power, must have created a chilling atmosphere. Their disciplined movements, the clang of their armor, the muted sounds of their occupation, all a counterpoint to the once vibrant pulse of the city. The city, once a jewel of the Hellenistic world, now lay under the shadow of Roman might. Even the familiar sounds of the city, the calls of vendors, the chatter of citizens, were muted, replaced by a heavy silence, punctuated by the occasional Roman command. The whispers of conspiracy began to swirl around Cleopatra's death. Some say she succumbed to a venomous asp, a fittingly dramatic end for a queen whose life had been a tempest of passion and intrigue. Imagine the cool smoothness of the serpent's scales against her skin, the slight prick of its fangs, the slow, creeping numbness that would have followed, the hushed reverence of the attendants, the subtle shift in the air as the venom took hold, the slow dimming of her once brilliant eyes. These details paint a picture of a serene, almost peaceful end. Others, however, suggest a more brutal, less romanticized reality. The suggestion of a deliberate Roman execution, swift and merciless, offers a stark counterpoint to the elegant imagery of the asp. Imagine the harsh clang of steel, the cold steel blade slicing through her silken robes, the quick intake of breath, the sharp sting of pain, and then the sudden, final silence. The sounds are sharp and jarring in contrast to the previous serenity. Yet even in this version, the end is swift, the suffering brief. The truth, shrouded in the mists of time, remains elusive. The accounts vary, reflecting the biases and agendas of those who recorded them. Each version offers a glimpse into a different aspect of Cleopatra's character and her relationship with the Roman power that eventually overwhelmed her. The variations themselves highlight the enduring fascination, with the enigmatic queen and the enduring power of myth-making around her story. Regardless of the specific circumstances, her death marked the end of an era. The Ptolemaic dynasty, which had ruled Egypt for centuries, finally succumbed to Roman dominance. The vibrant culture of Ptolemaic Egypt, a fascinating blend of Egyptian, Greek, and Roman influences, began its slow decline under Roman rule. Imagine the echoes of a fading civilization, the slow erosion of its unique artistic and intellectual achievements, the gradual assimilation into the vast Roman Empire, the fading frescoes in the temples, the slow decay of the grand palaces, the gradual silencing of the ancient Egyptian tongue, all tell a story of transition and change. The sounds of Alexandria, once a vibrant cacophony of languages and cultures, now slowly settled into the more monotonous rhythm of Roman life. The rhythmic cadence of Roman legions marching through the streets, the steady beat of their work, the hushed whispers of conquered people. These sounds became the new soundtrack of the city. The transition, though gradual, was irreversible. The legend of Cleopatra, however, lived on. Her image, captured in countless portraits and stories, continues to fascinate and inspire. Her story, a complex tapestry woven from threads of ambition, power, love, and loss, resonates across millennia. Her defiance in the face of overwhelming odds, her capacity for both ruthlessness and compassion, her intelligence and political acumen, these aspects of her personality endure as a testament to her enduring legacy. The gentle rhythm of the waves, the soft lapping of water against the shore, the quiet rustle of leaves in the night breeze, all these sounds serve as a reminder of the cycles of history, of empires risen and fallen, of leaders triumphant and defeated. As you listen to the gentle sounds of the night, allow the weight of history to drift away. Let the images of Cleopatra's life and death fade into the quiet darkness. Let the soft rhythm of the waves lull you into a deep and restful sleep. Let the whispers of the past become a soft lullaby, guiding you towards peaceful slumber. The past is now a silent backdrop to your dreams, the waves carrying you onward to a peaceful rest. Sleep now. The sea carries you. The sea carries you onward to a quiet shore where the sands whisper tales of Cleopatra. Her legacy, a shimmering tapestry woven from fact and fiction, continues to captivate. Picture the sun setting over the sands of Alexandria, casting long shadows across the ancient ruins, the air thick with the scent of salt and distant spices. The sounds of the waves, a gentle rhythm against the shore, a constant reminder of the ebb and flow of empires. Even now, centuries later, the whispers of her name echo across the millennia. The enduring myth of Cleopatra rests not only on her undeniable historical significance, but also on the fertile ground of human imagination. She became a symbol, an archetype, a queen of unparalleled beauty, intelligence, and power, tragically cut down in her prime. Yet the reality was far more nuanced, far more complex. The surviving accounts, often biased and incomplete, offer fragmented glimpses into her life, making it difficult to separate fact from legend. Imagine sifting through layers of sand, each grain a whisper from the past, each grain revealing a fragment of her story. The image of Cleopatra, forever youthful and alluring, owes much to the artistic representations that survived the ravages of time. Sculptures, coins, and the descriptions left behind by her contemporaries all contribute to this romanticized image. Imagine running your fingers over the cool, smooth surface of a marble bust, tracing the delicate lines of her face, feeling the subtle curve of her lips, the elegant sweep of her neck. The artist's skill captures not just her physical features, but also something of her enigmatic spirit, a hint of the fierce intelligence and unwavering determination that characterized her reign. But alongside the romanticized image, there exist other, less flattering portrayals. Roman historians, often driven by political agendas, presented her as a manipulative seductress, a dangerous woman who wielded her charm to gain power. Imagine reading their accounts, noting the subtle shifts in language, the carefully chosen words that paint a picture of cunning and deceit. These accounts, though biased, offer a valuable counterpoint to the more idealized versions of her story, reminding us that history is rarely straightforward. The truth, as it often does, lies somewhere in between. Cleopatra was undeniably a shrewd politician, a woman who understood the intricacies of power and used them to her advantage. She was also a mother, a lover, a queen devoted to her kingdom. Imagine her navigating the treacherous currents of Ptolemaic politics, forging alliances, outmaneuvering rivals, skillfully employing both charm and force to maintain her position. The sounds of court intrigue, the hushed whispers of conspiracies, the quiet clinking of goblets at lavish feasts, all paint a vivid picture of the world she inhabited. Her relationships with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, two of Rome's most powerful men, further complicate her legacy. Were they purely political alliances, or were genuine feelings involved? History offers no definitive answers. Instead, it leaves us with tantalizing glimpses of passionate encounters, of intense loyalty, of bitter betrayals. Imagine the rustling of silk robes, the murmured conversations in dimly lit chambers, the hushed intensity of shared secrets. Each detail, each fragment of information, adds to the rich complexity of her story. The fall of the Ptolemaic dynasty and the rise of Roman dominance marked not just the end of Cleopatra's reign, but also the end of an era. Imagine the gradual erosion of an ancient culture, the fading echoes of a once vibrant civilization. The slow decline, a mixture of political intrigue, military defeat, and cultural assimilation, left behind a legacy of grandeur and mystery. Yet, even in defeat, Cleopatra's legacy endures. Her story, passed down through generations, continues to fascinate and inspire. It is a tale of ambition, resilience, and the enduring power of the human spirit. It is a reminder that history is not just a collection of dates and names, but a complex tapestry woven from the lives and experiences of individuals caught in the currents of time. Allow the imagery of Cleopatra's life, the sounds of her world, to fade gently into the quietness of the night. The gentle rhythm of your breath, a soft counterpoint to the whispers of the past. The slow, steady beat of your heart, a comforting reminder of the present moment. Let the waves of tranquility wash over you, carrying away any lingering anxieties or worries. The darkness is now your friend, a soothing embrace that welcomes you into the realm of peaceful slumber. The past is now a distant shore, receding gently into the night. Sleep now. The quiet whispers of history lull you to a deep and restful sleep. The stars above watch over you and over the sleeping queen. Sleep now.